Iran and Israel have been enemies for decades. That much everyone knows. But here is what is strange. These two countries have never actually fought each other in a direct, open war. No Iranian soldier has ever crossed into Israeli territory. No formal declaration of war has ever been made. And yet, Israel has been attacked by groups funded, trained, and armed by Iran, from Lebanon, from Gaza, from Syria, from Yemen, all at the same time. So why does Iran keep funding other people to fight its battles? Why not just fight Israel directly? Is it fear? Is it strategy? Or is something much more calculated going on here? Today we are going to explore exactly why Iran chooses proxies over direct confrontation. The history behind this strategy, how it works, why it is so effective, and what it means for the world today, right here on Stories of Simple Things. To understand Iran's strategy today, you have to go back to 1979. That was the year everything changed. A revolution swept through Iran and overthrew the Shah, the king who had close ties with America and Israel. The new government, led by Ayatollah Khomeini, declared Israel an illegitimate state and America its biggest enemy. Almost overnight, Iran went from being Israel's quiet ally to its loudest opponent. But here is the reality Iran faced in 1979. It was a country coming out of revolution, politically unstable, economically weak, and surrounded by suspicious neighbors. And just 1 year later, in 1980, Iraq invaded Iran. What followed was an 8-year war that devastated the country. Hundreds of thousands of Iranians died. The economy collapsed. The military was exhausted. That war taught Iran a brutal lesson. A direct conventional war is incredibly costly. And against a well-armed enemy backed by powerful allies, Iran could not simply charge forward. It needed a smarter approach. That's when the idea of the proxy network began to take shape. Instead of building an army to fight across borders, Iran began building relationships, funding, arming, and training groups in other countries who shared its enemies. Groups that could bleed Israel slowly, from multiple directions, without Iran ever having to fire a single official shot. This strategy has a name. It is called the Axis of Resistance, and Iran has spent decades and billions of dollars building it. The network includes Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza, the Houthis in Yemen, and various militias in Syria and Iraq. Each group operates in its own country. Each has its own leadership. But all of them receive weapons, money, and training that ultimately traces back to Tehran. Here is where the strategy does its real work. Every one of these groups surrounds Israel from a different direction. Hezbollah sits on Israel's northern border in Lebanon. Hamas sits on its southwestern border in Gaza. Syrian militias sit to the northeast. The Houthis in Yemen fire missiles from hundreds of kilometers away, threatening Israeli ports and the Red Sea trade routes. Iran has essentially built a ring of pressure around Israel without a single Iranian soldier crossing a single border. Think of it like this. Instead of fighting with one fist, Iran fights with 5 fingers, each one pushing from a different direction at the same time. Israel cannot focus its full military strength on one threat because the threats come from everywhere simultaneously. And every time Israel responds to one group, Iran can point and say, "That is not us. We have nothing to do with it." But here is the challenge for Iran. Plausible deniability only works up to a point. Israel's intelligence agencies, particularly Mossad, have spent years documenting the money trails, weapon shipments, and communication links between Tehran and these groups. The world largely knows what is happening. But because Iran never officially declares war, the international response stays limited. No formal sanctions specifically for proxy warfare. No UN resolution that directly holds Iran accountable for Hezbollah's rockets. The legal and diplomatic ambiguity is the entire point. Here is the part that makes this strategy even more calculated. Iran is not just avoiding war. It is making war too expensive for Israel to finish. Every conflict Israel fights against Hamas or Hezbollah costs enormous amounts of money, international political capital, and civilian lives on both sides. The 2006 war against Hezbollah lasted 34 days and ended without a clear Israeli victory. The repeated wars in Gaza have lasted weeks and months, each one leaving destruction but not resolution. Israel wins battles, but cannot end the threat because the threat is funded and resupplied from Tehran the moment the fighting stops. In other words, Iran has turned the conflict into a slow drain rather than a quick explosion. And a slow drain is far harder to stop. Conventional armies can defeat other conventional armies, but you cannot bomb a funding network out of existence. You cannot airstrike an ideology. Iran understands this perfectly. There is also a domestic calculation. Iranian leaders use the Palestinian cause and the anti-Israel position to build legitimacy at home and across the Muslim world. Every missile fired by Hezbollah, every tunnel built in Gaza, every Houthi drone launched toward Eilat, these are presented to Iranian audiences and regional allies as proof that Iran is leading the resistance. It is foreign policy and domestic propaganda working together. After October 7, 2023, when Hamas launched its devastating attack on Israel, the entire proxy network came into sharp focus. Hezbollah began firing rockets from Lebanon almost immediately. The Houthis started attacking Red Sea shipping lanes. Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria fired at American bases. All of this happened within weeks of a single attack. That is not coincidence, that is coordination. And it showed the world exactly how Iran's proxy strategy operates in real time. Not one war. 5 simultaneous pressure points. Each one carefully managed to stay just below the threshold that would trigger a full American military response. So the next time you see a rocket fired from Lebanon or a Houthi drone intercepted over the Red Sea, remember, you are not just watching a local conflict. You are watching one country's foreign policy playing out through other people's hands. Iran does not fight Israel directly because it does not need to. It has spent over 4 decades building a network of groups that fight on its behalf, from Lebanon, from Gaza, from Yemen, from Syria. Each group is separate enough to give Iran deniability, but connected enough to act together when needed. It is not weakness. It is a strategy built from the lessons of a devastating war, designed to bleed an enemy slowly rather than confront it head-on. In geopolitics, the most dangerous battles are often the ones that are never officially declared. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share in the comments below. We will give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey on Stories of Simple Things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned.